I remember the sound of the clock that morning. It ticked louder than usual, maybe because I already knew something was wrong. 5 years in this office, and not once had Mr. Raymond Holt called me to his office without notice. When his assistant told me, "He wants to see you," I felt my throat tighten. I walked in with a smile anyway. "Morning, sir. You wanted to see me?" He didn't look up right away. He just tapped a pen on the desk, staring at a document. "Sit down, Michael." Something about the way he said my name made my stomach twist. I sat. "Is something wrong?" He sighed, leaned back and folded his hands. "I'll get straight to the point. We've found irregularities in the accounts under your name. Missing amounts. Large ones." I blinked. "What?" He finally looked at me. His eyes were cold. "You've been moving funds between sub-accounts, without authorization." My heart started pounding. "That's not possible. I never touched anything without clearance." He tilted his head slightly. "The system logs say otherwise." "Then the logs are wrong," I said, my voice rising. "You know me. I've handled those accounts for years. Why would I suddenly start stealing?" He didn't answer. He picked up a paper, signed it, and slid it across the desk. "Effective immediately. You're terminated for misconduct. Security will escort you out." For a few seconds, I just stared at the paper. My brain refused to accept what my eyes saw. "Sir," I said quietly, "please let me explain." He looked almost amused. "Sometimes loyalty isn't enough, Michael." I froze. "What does that mean?" "It means I can't keep someone who makes mistakes this big. Whether it was you or someone else, the responsibility still falls on you." I leaned forward. "I didn't do this. You know I didn't." He smiled faintly. "Good luck proving that." My mouth went dry. "After everything I've done for this company, you think I'd risk it for money?" He shrugged. "People surprise you." I stared at him, searching for a trace of doubt in his expression. There was none, just calm indifference. I felt heat rush to my face. "You're framing me," I whispered. He raised an eyebrow. "Careful with your words." "Why?" I snapped. "Because you don't want anyone to hear the truth?" He stood up slowly. "This conversation is over." I stood too, shaking. "You'll regret this." He walked to the door and opened it. "Security." 2 guards appeared. I grabbed the box of files from my desk, my hands trembling. Everyone in the department turned to look. Lila was standing near the printer, her face pale. She had been my closest friend here, the one who used to share lunch with me when I worked late. "Lila," I said, my voice cracking, "please tell them I'd never do this." She looked at me, then at the ground. "I'm sorry," she whispered. That single word hit harder than Raymond's accusation. "Sorry?" I said. "You think sorry fixes this?" She shook her head, tears in her eyes. "I can't. Please don't make this harder." I wanted to scream. Instead, I just nodded and walked out. Outside, the cold air slapped me in the face. My whole body felt hollow. I stood on the sidewalk, holding that stupid cardboard box filled with my things. My ID badge, my coffee mug, the photo of my parents. My phone buzzed. I ignored it at first, but it wouldn't stop. Finally, I pulled it out. Unknown number, 1 message. "You trusted the wrong person." I read it 3 times before my mind registered the words. My chest tightened. I looked up at the office windows. Lila stood near the glass, watching me. I texted back, "Who is this?" No reply. The wind picked up. I felt like someone had taken the air out of my lungs. Everything I had worked for, gone in a single morning. I started walking aimlessly. My thoughts were all over the place. Who would do this to me? Why now? By the time I reached the corner cafe, I couldn't feel my fingers. I sat inside, staring at nothing, hearing echoes of Raymond's voice. Sometimes loyalty isn't enough. Those words replayed over and over until they lost meaning. I tried to calm down, but my heart wouldn't stop pounding. I pulled out my phone again. Lila's name glowed on the screen. For a long time, I just stared at it. Then I typed, "Why didn't you say anything?" No response. I typed again, "You know I'm innocent." Still nothing. A part of me wanted to go back and confront Raymond, but I knew it was useless. Whatever game he was playing, I had already lost. I walked home, step by step, through the noise of the city that suddenly felt too loud. When I reached my apartment, I dropped the box on the floor and sank into the couch. My hands were still shaking. I whispered to myself, "You trusted the wrong person." The words from that text echoed inside me, sharper each time. Maybe it was Raymond. Maybe it was someone else. But one thing was clear. This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted me gone. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe through the anger building inside me. 5 years of loyalty. 5 years of late nights, unpaid overtime, and blind trust. And now I was nothing but a name on a termination letter. But as I sat there, staring at that message again, something in me hardened. If someone wanted me destroyed, they should have done a better job, because I wasn't finished. Not yet. A week later, I woke up to the sound of the postman banging on my door. When I opened it, he handed me a brown envelope with the company's logo printed on the corner. My stomach dropped. Inside was a letter. "You are hereby required to repay the amount of $120,000 due to financial discrepancies traced to your account." I read it out loud, my voice shaking. "Failure to do so will result in legal action." I laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was the kind that hurts. They ruined me, and now they want me to pay for it. I called Lila right away. She didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. By evening, I went to her apartment. She opened the door halfway, her eyes red. "Can we talk?" I asked. She hesitated. "Michael, I don't think—" "Please." She stepped aside. I walked in. The place looked the same, but she looked like a stranger. "Why won't you talk to me?" I said. "You saw what happened. You know I didn't take anything." She looked down. "It's complicated." "No, it's not. Either I did it or I didn't." Her voice cracked. "He made me do it." For a moment, I thought I misheard. "What?" "Raymond," she said, gripping her hands together. "He told me to file the report under your name. He said it was just for internal documentation. I didn't know what he was planning." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. "You're saying you helped him frame me?" Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't know, Michael, I swear. He told me you'd get a promotion after the audit." I believed him. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "When did you find out the truth?" "The day you got fired." "And you said nothing?" She started crying. "He said he'd ruin my career if I spoke. I was scared." "Scared?" I said quietly. "Do you have any idea what he did to me? I lost everything." She sobbed. "I'm sorry. I didn't think he'd take it this far." I turned toward the door. "You knew. You could have stopped it." She reached for my arm. "Please don't hate me." I pulled away. "I don't have the energy to hate you." Her boyfriend, Matt, walked out from the kitchen. "You should leave," he said softly. I looked at him. You knew too? He shook his head. No, but I told her to come clean. She was terrified. I stared at Lila one last time. You picked the wrong side. She cried harder. I'm sorry. I walked out. The hallway felt endless. When I stepped outside, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. That night, I sat on the floor of my small apartment surrounded by unpaid bills and the letter demanding $120,000. I whispered, they took my job, my name, and now they want my soul. I grabbed a bottle of whiskey from the shelf. I hadn't drunk in years. I poured a glass and swallowed it fast. It burned, but I didn't stop. I looked at my reflection in the dark window. You trusted them, I said to myself. You thought loyalty mattered. The phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number again. You're not done yet. I stared at it, confused. Who are you? I typed back. No reply. I sat there staring at the blinking cursor, feeling the walls close in. I said out loud, if this is what honesty gets you, maybe it's time to learn something new. For the first time in years, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't hope, it was anger, quiet, heavy, and cold. I poured another drink and whispered, they think I'll stay broken. They're wrong. For days, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Raymond's smirk and Lila's tears. The words from that text replayed in my head. You're not done yet. One night, I turned on my old laptop. It was dusty, slow, but still alive. I stared at the login screen for the company's backup portal. My fingers moved before my brain caught up. Username, password. I typed what I remembered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screen blinked. I was in. I whispered, "You've got to be kidding me." The company hadn't revoked my access. Either someone forgot or someone wanted me to see something. I opened the finance directory. Thousands of files stared back at me. I scrolled, half in disbelief, half in fear. And then I saw it. My name next to several fake invoices. Each one transferred funds to the same private account. "Raymond," I muttered. "You bastard." I clicked through the logs. Dates, signatures, and authorizations. Everything pointed to me. But the routing numbers led somewhere else. I needed proof. I needed help. I picked up my phone and scrolled through contacts until I found one name, Ethan. He had worked in IT before he left the company last year. We hadn't spoken in months. I hesitated, then called. He answered on the second ring. "Michael? Long time. I need your help," I said. "And before you ask, no, it's not legal." He laughed softly. "You sound serious. What's going on?" "I got framed. Raymond Holt, remember him?" Ethan whistled. "Of course. That man was poison." "Well, he used my credentials to move money. I just found invoices under my name." There was a pause. "You still have system access?" "Somehow." He chuckled. "That's their mistake." "Can you help me trace where the money went?" I asked. "I can try. Send me one of the invoice files." I did. A few minutes later, he said, "These are clean copies. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. But look here. The metadata shows editing from a different IP address." I leaned forward. "Whose?" "Head office. Raymond's terminal." I felt a pulse of adrenaline. "Can you prove it?" "Give me a few days," Ethan said. "I'll dig." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Thanks. I owe you." He laughed. "You always did. Now go get some sleep before you break something." I ended the call, but didn't sleep. I sat there staring at the folder full of lies, my chest burning. He had destroyed me to save himself, and everyone believed him. I said out loud, "You wanted me gone. Fine. But you should have made sure I couldn't come back." The next day, I went to a print shop and made copies of everything. Invoices, transfers, timestamps, all of it. I stored them in a folder labeled Insurance. Every click, every page made the anger sharper. When Ethan called again 2 nights later, his tone was different. "You were right. Raymond funneled the money through an offshore account. I have screenshots." I grinned for the first time in weeks. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. And guess what? He's been using your old authorization code to approve every transfer." I leaned back. "So the evidence clears me?" "Oh, it clears you," Ethan said. "But it also ties him to a whole lot more." "How much are we talking?" "Millions." I laughed quietly. "He stole millions and made me the thief." Ethan hesitated. "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know yet," I said. "But I'm done being the victim." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. For the first time since everything fell apart, I didn't feel helpless. I felt alive. I whispered, "You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you." That night, I began writing my plan. Not out of rage, but focus, calm, cold, deliberate. Because if Raymond thought I was broken, he was about to learn how dangerous a broken man can be. "Ethan, are you sure this will work?" "It'll work," he said. "But once you cross this line, there's no going back." I already crossed it when he fired me. We sat in his tiny apartment. The curtains were closed, the lights dim. On his laptop screen was the final piece, Raymond's digital signature. "You said he used this to approve transfers?" I asked. Ethan nodded. "Yeah, he signs everything electronically. I pulled a clean copy from old backups, but forging it perfectly isn't easy." "I don't want perfect. I want believable." He handed me a tablet. "Practice. You'll need to match his stroke style, speed, pressure." I stared at the screen, gripping the stylus. He made this look so easy. That's because he never thought he'd get caught. I practiced for hours. Every curve, every flick. My hand ached, but I didn't stop. After a while, Ethan said, "You know, you could just take this to the cops. Blow the whistle. Let the system handle it." I looked at him. "The system let him destroy me. I'm not trusting it again." He didn't argue, just nodded slowly. "Then we do this clean." The next night I called Lila. She didn't answer. I tried again. Nothing. On the 3rd try, she picked up. "Michael," she whispered, "why are you calling me? You owe me the truth. You're not working there anymore, are you?" She was quiet for a second. "No. He let me go." "Let you go or kicked you out?" "Both," she said. "He said I wasn't useful anymore." I paused. "Now you see who he really is." "I always knew," she said softly. "I just thought maybe he'd stop." "He doesn't stop. He destroys." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry." "I'm not calling for an apology," I said. "I'm calling to warn you. Things are about to fall apart for him. When it happens, stay out of it." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to make sure he never hurts anyone again." She was silent. Then, "Michael, do whatever you have to." I hung up. My hands were steady now. No shaking, no doubt. Later that night, I sat beside Ethan again. "We move the money from his slush account," I said. "We use his signature. We leave the trail pointed back at him." "Where's the money going?" Ethan asked. "Charity trust, anonymous, untraceable." He raised an eyebrow. "You're not keeping any of it?" "No," I said. "I'm not him." He nodded slowly. "Okay. Then we fake a final invoice." We route it through 3 ghost vendors. We time the transfer after business hours. If anyone checks, it looks internal. We worked through the details. Every step, every timestamp, every redirect. Once it's done, Ethan said, you disappear. I'm already gone, I said. The next morning, I got a call from an old coworker, Tina. Hey, she said. Raymond's been acting strange, like paranoid. He changed his passwords twice this week. Thanks for telling me. I didn't believe it at first, she whispered. But I think you were right. About everything. Just stay out of it, I told her. Don't say my name. Don't talk to anyone about this. Okay. Be careful, Michael. After we hung up, I opened my notebook. The plan was ready. Step 1. Access backup system through Ethan's secure line. Step 2. Upload forged invoice with real account trails. Step 3. Embed Raymond's signature with correct metadata. Step 4. Trigger transfer at 2:03 a.m. Step 5. Delete access logs. Ethan reviewed it all. You're ready? I nodded. Let's end this. As we set up the final scripts, Ethan looked at me. You know, I never thought you had this in you. Neither did I. He paused. If this goes wrong, it won't. We watched the progress bar move across the screen. Every click was a countdown. Ethan leaned back. You're playing with fire. I stared at the screen. He burned me first. He didn't reply. The silence was louder than anything else. As the final file compiled, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He never expected you to fight back. I looked at Ethan. It's time. We hit execute. The setup was done. The trap was set. All that was left was the fall. 2:00 a.m. I sat at my desk in the dark. The only light came from my laptop screen. 3 monitors glowed like watchful eyes. One showed the forged invoice. The second showed Raymond's hidden slush account. The third showed the countdown clock. 3 minutes left. I wiped my palms on my jeans and took a deep breath. No turning back, I whispered. Ethan's voice crackled through my earbuds. Everything's stable, you good? No, I said, but I'm ready. Same thing, he replied. I clicked into the file and pulled up Raymond's digital signature. I'd copied it stroke by stroke. Slow, controlled. Ethan had embedded the timestamp. The signature metadata matched perfectly. This transfer looks cleaner than anything the company's ever processed, Ethan said. I smirked. He taught me well. You sure about the trust account? He asked. It's untraceable, legitimate. Every cent goes to small business relief. Poetic, Ethan said. Let's call it justice. 2:02 a.m. 1 minute. I hovered the mouse over the Submit Transfer button. My heartbeat was in my throat. Ethan said, remember, once this goes through, logs get auto-cleared in 60 seconds. Then the backups wipe at 3 a.m. That's your window. I know. I stared at the numbers on screen. 1,263,240. Raymond had been moving funds in chunks, greedy but careful, until now. 2:03 a.m. I clicked. The screen blinked. Processing, verifying signature, routing transaction. Come on, I whispered. Come on. A green check mark appeared. Transfer complete. Done, I breathed. Ethan whistled. It's in. You just emptied the devil's pockets. Check the receipt log, he typed for a second. Signed by R. Holt. Timestamp matches. IP pings the company server. All clean. I sat back, staring at the confirmation. He won't know what hit him. You deleting the trail now? Already started. I opened the script Ethan had written. 1 click. Every access log tied to me vanished. Backup deletion countdown started. I wiped my machine next. Let me guess, Ethan said. Now you're gonna sit back and wait for karma? No, I said. I'm going to bed. Legend. We both laughed, but there was something heavier beneath it. I ended the call. I stared at the screen one last time before shutting everything down. Then I looked around the tiny rented room. One bed, one chair, one man who used to believe in people. I whispered, "Thank you for firing me." Then I closed the laptop and slept like I hadn't in weeks. The next morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. Tina. "Michael, something's happening at the office," she whispered. I sat up. What? They froze all financial access. Internal audit team showed up. People are freaking out. I smiled. That was fast. Did you do something? I didn't answer. She sighed. He's yelling at everyone. I've never seen him this unhinged. Let him scream, I said. The walls are closing in. Are you safe? She asked. I'm invisible. I hung up and turned on the news. Local business exec under investigation for embezzlement. There he was, Raymond Holt. That polished look replaced by confusion and fury. Reporters crowded around him. I have no idea where that money went, he shouted. This is a setup. The journalist asked, Are you saying the signature on the transfer isn't yours? I never signed that form. Someone forged it. But the system confirms the transfer came from your device. He froze. That's impossible. I laughed. He knew. He just didn't know how. Ethan texted me 2 hours later. Cops raided his office, took his laptop, took his phone, whole company on lockdown. I replied, Any heat on me? None. Your ghost is clean. I tossed the phone on the bed and opened the window. The morning air felt different, lighter, like the city had forgiven me too. I sat at the edge of my bed and watched people rushing to work. I wondered if they had ever been betrayed, lied to, set on fire by someone they trusted. I hoped not, but if they had, I hoped they survived. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He knows it was you, but he can't prove it. I stared at the message. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The game was over. He lost. Ethan called before noon. He's panicking, he said. Raymond told the board someone hacked him. I sipped my coffee. Let me guess. No one believed him. Of course not. The transfer logs are too clean. They're not looking for a hacker. They're looking for motive. Then they'll find plenty. I set the cup down. Any word on charges? They're building a case. The police froze his personal assets this morning. I leaned back. That's fast. He's got lawyers scrambling. I think he thought he could scare his way out of it. I chuckled. He scared the wrong guy. Later that afternoon, the headline hit my phone. Former exec under formal investigation for fraud, money laundering. I didn't flinch. I just saved the article, proof, not just of his guilt, but of my freedom. A message popped up from Lila. I stared at her name on the screen. Lila, can we talk? I almost ignored it. Then I typed, What for? She replied instantly. Lila, I need to say something. Please. I stared at the blinking cursor. Then I sent, Fine. 1 hour, same coffee shop. She was already there when I arrived. Hoodie pulled up, sunglasses on, nervous fingers tapping the cup. I sat across from her. You've got 10 minutes. She pulled the glasses down. Her eyes were red. They questioned me. Good, I said. They asked about the invoices, about Raymond, about you. And what did you say? She looked at me. The truth. I leaned forward. Why now? Because it's over, she said quietly. He's finished. There's nothing left to be afraid of. You weren't afraid, I said. You were convenient. She flinched. You're right. I chose silence. You chose him. I was weak. I nodded. Yeah, you were. She wiped her eyes. They're going to charge him. Full weight of the law. You testified? I gave them everything I knew. I stared at her. Too little, too late. I know. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, I didn't come here to beg. I just wanted to say I was wrong. You were. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I stood up. I already did. She looked surprised. You did? I nodded. The day I stopped caring. That night, Ethan emailed me a zipped file. Inside, video clips, call logs, financial reports. All pointing to Raymond. In case you ever need leverage, he wrote. I didn't open it. I already had everything I needed. Another message arrived a few hours later. Unknown. You did it. He's done. I replied. Was it you this whole time? The reply came seconds later. Let's just say I hate him as much as you do. I stared at the screen. I should have felt afraid. Instead, I smiled. News reports kept pouring in the next day. Raymond Holt's offshore accounts seized. Employee testimonies reveal internal fraud. Company announces full compliance with investigators. He was drowning, and no one was throwing him a rope. I called Ethan. Think he knows it was me? Of course he does, he said. But without evidence, he can't touch you. He must be losing his mind. Yup. Word is his wife left the house last night. Took their daughter with her. I paused. Didn't see that coming. Neither did he. I hung up without another word. That evening, I sat alone on my balcony. The city lights blinked below. Somewhere, Raymond was watching his empire burn, and he had no idea how it all started. With a signature. With me. But the strange thing was, I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty. I'd won. I'd cleared my name. I'd taken everything from the man who took everything from me. And still, something was missing. Peace. I realized revenge gives you justice, but not healing. Lila messaged me again. Lila, take care of yourself, please. I stared at the screen, then typed one word. Goodbye. I deleted her number right after. The war was over, and I was done. When the email came, I thought it was spam. Subject, interview opportunity, Harper Consulting. I was about to delete it, but something made me click. We came across your name through mutual industry circles. We'd like to invite you for a confidential interview. No resumes, no pressure. I stared at it for a minute, then hit reply. What's the catch? They replied within the hour. No catch, just respect for what you survived. Tuesday at 10, our office. If you're curious. I didn't tell Ethan. I didn't tell anyone. Tuesday morning, I put on the last clean dress shirt I owned and walked into a glass building uptown. Clean floors, quiet halls, no noise, no tension. A receptionist smiled. Michael? I nodded. She stood. Ms. Harper will see you now. The office was simple. A few books, a warm lamp, a glass of water already poured for me. The woman behind the desk didn't stand. She just looked up and said, You look tired. I've had a long year, I said. I read about it, she replied. And I've heard more than what made the headlines. I sat down. I'm not sure how to respond to that. You don't have to. I'm not here to interrogate you. Then why am I here? She leaned back. Because someone who survives that kind of betrayal, someone who doesn't fold, who doesn't break, that's someone I want on my team. I blinked. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a clean slate, she said. Audit lead, no politics, no games. I raised an eyebrow. You trust me that much? She smiled. Trust has nothing to do with it. I saw how you handled fire. That's rare. I didn't speak. She pushed a folder toward me. Take it home. Read it. No rush. I nodded slowly. Why me? Because I don't want a perfect man. I want a rebuilt one. I stood up. That's new? Think about it, she said. You deserve more than survival. The next day, I walked into the office to sign the papers. Clean lobby, fresh coffee, friendly eyes. And then I saw her, Lila, at the far desk. She froze when our eyes met. I kept walking, straight to HR. The manager smiled. You're a popular name today. Excuse me? One of our junior analysts said she knew you, said she worked with you before. Lila? I nodded. We have history. He laughed. Small world. I said nothing. After I signed everything, I passed her desk again. She stood up. Michael, she said softly, you're working here? Looks like it. I didn't know you. You don't have to explain. She lowered her eyes. I'm not the same person. Neither am I said. Silence. Then I added, I'm not here to reopen anything. I'm here to work. I understand. I turned to leave. She reached out, then pulled her hand back. I hope this job gives you peace, she whispered. I didn't turn around. I'm not looking for peace. I'm looking for purpose. As I walked to my new desk, I smiled for the first time in weeks. This time, I wasn't starting over. I was starting stronger. I wasn't looking for it. I was just scrolling through the news, killing time between meetings. But there it was. His name, his face, in bold. Former exec Raymond Holt faces criminal trial. Divorce finalized. I clicked before I could think. His photo stared back at me. But it wasn't the man I remembered. His suit looked loose, his smile gone, eyes dark, tired. The article said everything. House gone, assets frozen, wife filed for divorce, full custody granted to her, charges stacked, 10 years possible. I leaned back in my chair. 10 years, I whispered. He's not talking his way out of this one. A knock at the door pulled me out of the moment. It was Lila. Can we talk? She asked. I didn't move. Why? I just wanted to say goodbye. I looked up. You quitting? I'm leaving the city. Running? She winced. Starting over? I nodded. Makes sense. I didn't come to fix anything, she said. Just wanted to thank you. You didn't destroy me when you could have. I stared at her for a second. I wasn't interested in destroying you. I know. She hesitated, then asked, Are you happy now? No, I said, but I'm clean. She offered a weak smile. Goodbye, Michael. Take care, Lila. She left without another word. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel relieved. I felt nothing. Ethan called that evening. You see the news? Yeah, I said. He's done. I saw. He'll probably cut a deal, but even then he's finished. Reputation's dead. I'm not celebrating. You should. I'm not him. He paused. Fair. Then he said, I'm thinking about starting something. A company? Yeah, clean tech. Small scale. Low noise. You want a partner? He laughed. You reading my mind? Depends. You want quiet investors or a guy who's been through hell and still shows up on time? I want you. Then I'm in. We talked numbers, timeline, structure. I didn't feel fire in my chest, just focus. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I was building. Weeks passed. The trial date for Raymond was set. Headlines slowed down. People moved on. I didn't. I worked. I invested. I stayed late. I slept early. I talked less. But one night, I woke up to a message. Unknown number. He still thinks it was you." I stared at it, then replied, "Let him." Because the truth was, I didn't care if he knew. Let it haunt him. Let it rot him from the inside. Let him look at the cell wall every night and wonder how I did it. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need justice anymore. I already had something better. Silence and sleep. That night, I closed my eyes and didn't dream. I stood across the street staring at the building I used to call home. Same glass walls, same logo, barely hanging on. But everything inside had changed. The company had been sold, new owners, new leadership. Most of the old team scattered. I walked across slowly, steps measured, hands in my pockets. I didn't know why I came. Closure, maybe. Maybe just curiosity. The security guard at the front looked up. "Can I help you?" "No," I said. "Just passing by." He glanced at my face, then back to his screen. "You used to work here?" "Yeah." "Rough couple of years," he muttered. "Heard the last guy messed things up real bad." I nodded. "He did." He shrugged. "They say he's in court now. Trial's next month." "I know." I stepped back outside. The air was cooler than I remembered. The sun sat low, orange sky touching the roof I once stared at during lunch breaks. I found the bench across the street, the same one I sat on the day I was fired. I remembered the weight of that box in my hands, my badge, my mug, the photo I never brought back home. I sat in silence for a long time until I whispered, "You thought you broke me." That day, I walked out with nothing. Now I had my name back, my focus, my voice. I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't want people to know what I did. I didn't want praise. I just wanted peace. A woman walked by with her kid. The boy dropped his toy near my feet. I picked it up and handed it back. "Thanks," she said, smiling. I smiled back. Simple, quiet, clean. That was victory. Not headlines. Not revenge, not even justice. Just a day where I could sit, breathe, and not feel hollow. I stood up, took one last look at the building and whispered, "Thank you for firing me." I meant it. That door closing was the only way I would have found my way forward. I turned and walked away. No box, no noise. Just me, still standing. I sat by the sea with a paper cup of coffee in my hands. The wind was quiet, the waves gentle, no noise, no calls, no questions, just time. A year had passed. 12 months since the fall. 12 months since I took back control without raising my voice. I watched the water roll in and out, steady like breath. People passed behind me, joggers, tourists, couples fighting over ice cream. The world kept moving, and I was finally still. I pulled out my phone, opened a message thread I hadn't touched in months. "Ethan, you alive?" I typed. "Let's build something honest this time," he replied almost instantly. "Ethan, together." I smiled. It wasn't a big moment. No fireworks, no headlines, but it was real. My company shares were growing. The consulting firm paid well. I no longer looked over my shoulder. I had a simple apartment, 2 plants, 1 window facing east. No trophies, no photos on the wall. Just air I could breathe. I took a sip of coffee. I didn't think about Raymond anymore. He'd lost everything. His case dragged on. Everyone forgot his name except the court. I didn't check the updates. I didn't need to. Some things are better left buried. I pulled out my laptop and opened a blank doc. Not for work, just thoughts. I wrote, "You can lose everything and still survive. You can be betrayed and still choose not to become like them. You can walk out broken and walk back in stronger. I stared at those lines for a while, then closed the lid. A man sat on the bench next to mine. He looked stressed, tapping his phone, muttering about deadlines. He turned and asked, "Sorry, do you know what time it is?" I checked. 6:05. "Thanks," he said, then sighed. "Bad day." I nodded. "They pass." He looked surprised. "You sound like you've had a few." I smiled. "More than a few." He laughed a little. "Well, here's to better ones." He stood up and walked off. I watched the waves again. Let the breeze touch my face. Sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best reason to change. I whispered, "I'm not the man I used to be, and I didn't want to be. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had peace, and that was enough."